You're listening to the Data Flowcast, where we unlock the secrets of mastering Airflow for data engineering and AI.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the Data Flowcast. I'm your host, Kenton Danis, and today I'm joined by two guests, Kaxil Naik, who is a PMC member for Apache Airflow and a Senior Director of Engineering at Astronomer, and Pavan Gopidesu, who is a Lead Data Engineer at Experian and also a PMC member for Apache Airflow. Kaxil, Pavan, how are you both doing?
Very good. Very excited to talk about the command AI provider and all the stuff that we are doing at the Airflow project.
Yeah, we are very excited to talk about this one. Looking forward to discuss more on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lots
Yeah.
of exciting stuff going on in Airflow right now. And of course, as you just said, so for today's podcast, we're going to discuss Airflow's new common AI provider. Really exciting topic. This is a huge milestone, I think, for the project. But before we get into that, I want to start with some background on both of you. Can you tell me what you do in your, day jobs and then how you're involved with the Airflow project?
Sure, I can go first. I've been involved with the Airflow project since 8 to 9 years, I think. Now, been a release manager, have been contributing about various different things, Airflow 2.0, early Airflow 1.x days, and recently from last year, Airflow 3. I work on open source projects most of my time, and as part of my role at Astronomer, I also work on our product side and commercial strategy, again, around AI and making Airflow and Astronomer more agentic in nature.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
thanks, Kaxil. I think I started in around 2024. It is like started with some POC we were doing at my org, like where we wanted to experiment some of the Lambda functions. We were doing some like Lambda operators. There is one of the future is miss, that's where I started. So it's just a small like a contribution to the project. Then it feels me excited, like, okay, this is nice. So I would still like continue contributing. That's how I started. And yeah, so it's been almost more than 2.5 years with Airflow, and I'm still continuing contributions. And yeah, I'm also at my org like Experian. I'm a lead data engineer where we work on building analytics platforms within the Experian business units with different business units can use those platforms to onboard their assets. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. It's crazy to think about everything that has happened with Airflow, even just in the past 2 years that you've been working on it, and Kaxil certainly in the last 8 or 9. I'm kind of closing in on probably close to 7 years working with Airflow myself, and I always think like it's sort of at any point if you ask me, I would say like now is the most exciting time in the project. That's certainly true right now. So just keeps getting better. Related to that, definitely want to dig into this new common AI provider, which is what we're here mainly to talk about. Obviously, as I said, lots going on in the Airflow project, but we'll keep this one relatively focused. This new provider was introduced, I think, as AIP 99. And I want to start with just some background on kind of what it is and what problem it was solving, kind of what made you both want to introduce this and work on it.
Kaxil, you want to go?
Yeah, I think yeah, I can start for sure. Last year, I think last year or year before that. My God, that time is such fuzzy right now. But we like myself and Pawan, we got talking because Pawan had a real problem that he was trying to solve at his previous job, and one of my goals was to make it very easy to utilize AI agents within Airflow. There were two parts that I cared about: how to make agents write better Airflow code and utilize Airflow, and the second was how you could utilize Airflow itself to orchestrate AI agents. And then the problem that Pawan talked about resonated with things that I was doing on the private projects as well on the personal project side. So we got talking, and then I'll let Pawan explain the concrete use case, and that was the inception of it. And then we said, okay, let's talk about it at Airflow Summit and see if it resonates, if the problem resonates. And um, the problem not only resonated, but we got a lot of people asking when is this going getting shipped. I talked to a lot of teams afterwards, and like, okay, this is something great. Let's do it.
Yeah. So back in this, right, like currently, as I said, like we are a core platform team in Experian where we build data analytics platform, right? So the platform whole purpose is to like onboard the data assets and then from there consume the assets, different business units in the org and also downstream like users. So part of this one is right. So it is, you can think of it's a producer consumer model. So we just provide a place to like where like different producers, they produce data assets and consumers like subscribe and use it. So the key challenge is here, like how do we like make sure whether the data set is coming into the platform or like rightly aligned with the contracts. So they have users have their own downstream systems to process after they consume some, right? So if someone changes any schema, like just adds a column, removes a column, it's all like people definite. It gets breaks their all their downstream systems, right? How do you make sure as a platform like to make detect the changes early and break the just like a flow data flow into the cloud. So that's where the problem like use case like how do we like use then I discuss with Kaxil and we so nowadays we know like agents are very good at like if you provide the right context it like it basically detects I suggest right things to do in the next steps part of our data pipeline. So that's how it started. Overall, the problem is that's how yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and the pattern was, I think, very similar when I talked to a few teams. Like they all, when they were using AI, it's like we built this nice prototype. We want to productionize it, but our secrets and stuff is all scattered in various different environment variables, various different places. Like, is there a way I can productionize it? And there were not really better tools for that. And then of course it made sense, like the tool that you've been using for last 10 years to orchestrate all your data pipelines are the same tools that you could utilize for this. We just needed to provide them with better interfaces so that it feels completely native with how AI agents are designed. So and Airflow already had the primitives around production hardening of secrets, logging, monitoring, retries, and all the things that makes for a durable task execution. So it just made sense that we could make it into an agent. We could make some agent primitives that makes it very seamless for folks to add it in their pipelines.
Yeah, I think that's a great description. And I like how you both touched on, like, Pavan, the aspect of it that this new AI functionality is so powerful for teams who are, hopefully having to do less like manual intervention when things change and stuff like that. But Caxel, to your point, I think like AI orchestration is kind of just like regular orchestration, like orchestrating everything else. You need sort of the same basic functionality. And like Airflow has, had that for a really long time and has obviously cemented itself as the standard. So I love seeing those two things come together. Tell me, so I know at least at the time that we're recording this, the provider has just been released. So it is out. Anybody listening to this can use it, which is very exciting. Maybe tell me, at least in this first iteration, what capabilities are in the provider right now?
Yeah, well, if you want to talk about the stuff that you are very excited about, and then I can tell about what I'm really excited about.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm really excited about the system. What we are really looking for, or like detecting the changes, right? The schema basically it's the schema comparison, right? You have a source system files, and you have like physicist users which are using those data sets, right? So when new data set comes, how do you like know like whether the new columns are added or like that something is deleted or all these things, right? So that's where we built like one of the operator is part of this first release where LLM SQL, I mean the schema compare operator, where what it does is, right, so we have not we have all the things which is used, which is already built in Airflow. We just we just connected all the dots. How do you use proper way to detect the systems, right? So you let's an example, like hardly I give you, like you have, let's say, assume your data set coming to S3. That's a anyway real pattern for most of the companies, like the data partners. You coming to data into S3, and from there you want to process it right further, and you have like example target as post here. And so this, what it does is this schema comparator under the hood we use for data fusion, Apache data fusion, one of the framework we use. The data fusion basically reads the data from the sources like S3, and fetches the schema, and also on the other hood, the Airflow already have native DB hooks. We use the DB hook to fetch the schema from the target database, like some Postgres, and we provide both to the agent via schema compare. The agent does the schema comparison, and the really nice thing is it clearly flags like what is the severity level. Do we need really schema migration? And it suggests also all the queries what you need to run. It also differentiates the severity. Like if some things it suggests info, example, let's say your target has like a varchar, like example, like 200 cars, and its source system always 100 cars coming. It also suggests that kind of things, right? So you may alter your query to change this because you no need of 200 characters. You always, the source system is 100 characters. So that's a really nice thing, right? So you think about, like, let's say your 100 teams, like hundreds of teams on data sets are coming into your platform to manage this manually and write this code once, and you cannot reuse things, right? Even though you write today a lot of like boilerplate code, you have to write comparisons, but with the help of agents, you just provide the what information is right context, and the agent helps you to do all the things. So that's one of the operator I love, like a schema compare operator. Mm, yeah. I just want to add a point here. Data fusion we use, like the reason behind is data fusion, like it's super fast, like it's like massively fast. In like it is built on the Rust, and it has Python like bindings. So with Airflow, we are using Python bindings. Most of the people already are aware of data vision, I believe. Like, we did a benchmarking, 50 million records. It just queried like within 10 seconds with Mac, like different variants of aggregations. You can think of speed. See, you basically you are not investing a lot of compute power. You are not investing a lot of money. So the goal, one of the goal also, you don't want to like use compute power like to do while doing these tasks, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think my mind was blown when Pavan told me. I think he did benchmark and send me a Slack message that this completed it in 10 seconds. I was like, what? That's amazing. And like his use case to me, like I was first very, very, very excited about that, and was one of the motivations to say, okay, this is not some pet project that we are going to build for some user. This is going to be utilized in production by Pavan and his team. So we got real motivation even before the Airflow Summit talk, and then Airflow Summit talk cemented the place because we talked with PayPal and various teams. But back to the question around what I'm excited about. Yes, that LLM schema operator or schema change operator is one of the things that I think probably all the data platform teams run into. You've got data producers and consumers, and uh, while there are contracts, they change sometimes without notice, and this sort of helps. And I think this is complementary as well because LLMs are good at writing SQL, and when they are confined in within a box. Like I don't, for example, I don't want an LLM to change the shape of my DAG yet. I'm not comfortable with that, but I'm very, very comfortable with LLM taking care of one part of the box that I know what it will do. And that's the security guarantee that we want. Take the power of Airflow as production ready tool, and take the power of LLM and AI agents to do one part very, very well, and where we spend hours and hours, whether it's SQL queries, whether it's routing things from one place to other. So I think this cements one of the use cases I was very excited about. Now, there are a few more things, and I'm trying to think which one I'm more excited about in this provider. So, like, one thing that we added was hook tool sets, which is you're thinking like Airflow has one of the main reasons that Airflow is very popular as an open source project is its integrations. Like the we have got we recently released the registry, which has like 99 providers and around 350 plus hooks that connects to an external system. And we're thinking these agents are getting very good at tool calling. Guess what tools are? Those are functions. What are hooks? Hooks are a way to connect to an external system with different functions. So if you have an S3 hook, there will be list keys, read, read an object store, and all those methods. So we said if we can give access to agents to that to tools using all these hook and hook methods, by providing guardrails. So we do have something called allowed methods on hook tool sets, which will say the agent can utilize any methods on this hook as long as it is in this list. So you can say, I will only give this agent permission to list keys and read key method, but not delete key as an example. So an agent, we use Pydantic AI as one of the foundational libraries for the common.ai, so that we can utilize multiple models. But using that, the hook toolset will say, okay, the agent will have information to this model. Now, what can it do for tool calls? It can use S3 hook, it can use DB API hook to connect to databases, and now we can access these methods. Awesome. Done. That way, it will log properly, it will adhere to allowed methods. So I'm not worried that it will delete something on my production system. It will reuse all the connections, or you could create new connections for just agents, but then you get all the guarantees around retries and whatnot within that. So hook toolset is something that I'm really, really bullish on. That actually cements a first class interface and makes Airflow agentic, because it combines the integrations and power of LLM together. That's one. The other one is the durable execution part, where in one of the projects that we have in Astronomer, we recently blogged about it, of how we utilize for impact analysis. And it does around 35 to 40 tool uses every time. And I don't want that if it reaches 38th tool call, and if it fails, it needs to start all over again, and it will take 30 minutes, and money wasted, time wasted, effort wasted. So the if you just pass durable equal to true to our LLM operators, or if you want to utilize it in various abstractions, what it will do is it will cache those tool calls, it will cache the LLM outputs and stuff, and it will resume from where you left off in the second try, which is very, very powerful. It feels very simple, but it saves ton of time, money, energy when you are running it in production.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah,
I think, and that's within a task.
exactly.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I think going, way back in like the older days of Airflow, when we always recommended like keep tasks atomic for exactly that reason, so that you didn't have to retry from a previous one. But of course, if you're trying to coordinate a lot of different calls, that could mean you have a lot of tasks and a lot of like context to pass in between them. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, that is one thing I'm really, really excited for sure. And I'm sorry, I'll keep on saying that this is my favorite, but the list is too long. And the last one I promise is on that front. I'm very happy that we have got abstractions that will cater to different people. So, like there is a group which love operators. Like I love operators. I don't want to care about hooks, or I don't want to care about low level interfaces. We have got LLM operator, we have got LLM SQL operator, and those abstractions that will work for them awesomely, like easy to use. We have got good enough documentation. Now we have got decorators as well for people who want to do pre or post processing, and like the task flow APIs or task.agent as an example, will help you with those. All the operators that we have has a corresponding decorator, so you can utilize with TaskFlow API. The third part, which is less known of, which is you can utilize it within your current TaskFlow API without the task.agent decorator. So you can utilize your these agents and this entirety of abstractions within your Python operator, or just add task decorator by creating Pydantic AI agent, but passing our tool sets like hook tool sets or SQL tool set within the tool sets argument that Pydantic provides. And you will still get all the niceties. So that's the beauty of it, that all the hook tool sets are available with Pydantic AI within the constructs of Airflow. And why this is interesting is like the three level of abstractions goes from I don't need to worry about it versus I can do more things with this and I can have full control of this. So it's like simplicity versus control, and we have got abstractions for all three levels, which is I think I'm sure Pon will say the same, that I'm proud of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have quite a nice abstractions. I just want to add another point, right? Whatever we did, right, all this, it has all guardrails like SQL operator, whatever, like agent operator. If you use tools, it has all the guardrails, alone methods, as Kaxil mentioned, right? If you use SQL operator, you can like say what kind of operations are allowed. And under the hood, we use SQL node to detect if, let's say, if agent like agents can do many things, right? If it generates some delete query, right, it basically detects all those guardrails from there. If anyone wants to bypass, it's an option is there. They can bypass, but by default, the guardrails will protect anything that like breaks a system. Like so, by default, you can say like solve select by default, nothing insert, nothing delete all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Wow, that is an impressive amount of functionality for this first release. And I'm curious to know more about kind of the plan going forward for the provider. So, Pavan, you mentioned that you were going to be using this in production. Is that already happening? And then maybe a follow-on question to that would be kind of where would you recommend folks get started considering where the provider is right now?
Yes, we are in kind of discussions in our art, like on the phases of like how we move forward this one. But on the other side, regularly I use for my personal task. That's this providers. Let's say if someone asks like, oh, it's when data load completes, what's the query count? I just have a tool set like I just give it to agent, just go and query from just simply Athena. So it does for me a lot of manual efforts what I do. Like I don't need to log into AWS. I don't need to do select query, right? It's all agent for me with Airflow. I use a lot of things, but if so the discussions are going to like implement this one, but yeah, we'll be there soon to like get this into in live. Yeah.
The, I just want to say that the eBay team, I want to note a caveat that currently the provider only works with Airflow 3 and above. Um, and the eBay team tried to use it and they messaged me saying, we want to utilize it with Airflow 2, but we'll have to wait for Airflow 3, or if you can add support for Airflow 2. And I said, we'll see, we'll wait. So if folks who are listening to this podcast, if you give us signals that you are still stuck on Airflow 2 for whatever reason, Airflow 2.11, I hope at the very least, then let us know via some mechanism. We could add 2.11 support if needed. We don't want to. We want to keep it forward in Airflow 3. But if there is high demand, we will supply to that need. So currently it is still experimental, this provider, but that's the main reason of it being experimental. We want a lot of feedback from you. Um, Send messages about what you like, what you don't like, what sort of things that you need for Airflow 2.x support and stuff, and we'll work on.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a good tie-in to my standard final question. We could, of course, keep talking about this all day, but we'll try and keep everybody like within the time I requested from you. So I always ask my guests at the end, what would you most like to see from the Airflow project in the near future? For the purpose of this interview, I'm going to tweak that a little bit and say, what are you most excited about with the Common AI provider coming up?
I think for me, right? So there are quite a few things planned. I see people are started getting like into involved in this project. Started at APIs coming like Google ADK. People are like they want to integrate, and the next is LLM data quality operator is coming. So it helps you to like run the quality rules on the fly, generates the rules and runs on your data. That's the most important thing. And yeah, I'm really excited. Most people are getting interested and started contributing. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the answer is also two or threefold over here. I'm too excited about what all is happening. Like one thing we didn't touch upon is the MCP support. So we do support MCP. MCP is another tool set as part of all this integration. The good thing though is like you could like I always hated when I utilize Cloud Code and stuff and I need to define MCP in that MCP.json, or if I use cursor, I need to put the JSON and stuff. And sometimes like JSON is still fine. Sometimes I need to put credentials over there. It was not long ago where they then started providing a way to inject your credentials, but that is still a lesser known fact. But what Airflow does well over here again is like you can define your MCP in the same way where Airflow defines its secrets, which is connections. So you could define your entire set of MCP.json file inside an Airflow connection, and this will be utilized by the tool sets that we provide for you to utilize with Pydantic AI or just a common.ai provider, which means that any secrets will be redacted in logs and you get all the guarantees that connections provide. So that is great first step, I think, at least on the MCP support side. And I'm excited on that sort of integrations where we could pair all the strong suits of Airflow and combine it with what agent needs as well. And like you said, Kenton, at the start, is like the commonality of data orchestration and AI orchestration is a lot more than people think it is. You need all the guarantees that you needed for data orchestration or software in general, and all those principles apply. And I want to strive towards getting that better and better. That on like putting my software engineer hat, of course. But then on the AI side of things, again, Pavan did a fantastic job with integrating human in the loop story within the realm of LLM operators and task.agent and stuff. And I think we can do a lot more stuff on that. Like there's already a foundation that Pavan added where you could go back and forth within the agent within the Airflow deck. So you can say it can generate SQL query. You could say, no, I want you to do this. It goes back to trigger and comes back, and you could say, no, 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 but I wanted this, and you could iterate. And that's a great first step for Airflow, and like that sort of a feedback cycle before the DAG is even completed. So I think we can build more sort of those iterative feedback loops over here, and that is something that I'm excited about. Like, and I'm going to tie this into an AIP that's coming up, which is stateful set. And that is where I feel the state management plus all the things that AI needs, common AI and statefulness will work well, very, very well together. So I'm excited about that part.
I mean, when the tape is posted, I really blown. I kind of like excited, like, okay, this is the time. Like we have next steps for this to not the other ties like what we have. What we have got the comments from part of the proposal, like yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be huge for Airflow. Well, so much great stuff that we covered here. And I think there's a lot that hopefully folks will be excited to explore within the new provider. We'll throw links to the documentation and the installation instructions and all that good stuff in the show notes. Just to close us out, if anybody has feedback about the provider or wants to help contribute, should they reach out to you in Airflow Slack, in the Airflow repo? What's your recommendation there?
Airflow Slack or GitHub issues, like if you need any quicker cycles, Slack is the best way to reach out to any of us. There's a contributors channel as well, so you are not at the mercy of a single developer. But if you face or if you have any feature request or feedback, GitHub issues are the best as well.
Okay, great. Well, Pavan and Kaxil, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate talking to you. This is really great work that you've been doing.
Thank you for having us. It was really great.
Thank you.